Hi, welcome to Pitch Lemur, the new music learning tool. It's hosted at senthilktmz.github.io slash pitch-lemur. So you can go to this website and access the tool. You can click on About in this page to understand what it does. It helps you learn music theory in an interactive and visual way. You can master chords and scales using this. You can easily learn chords and scales. They're all visualized using a keyboard layout. You can easily understand what the chords and scales are and what are the patterns associated with that. So first I'll explain the chords section. I have clicked on the chords tab. You'll see a layout like what I'm showing now with all the keys from C to B shown, and there is a drop down for all the possible chords. There are approximately 57 chords which we are showing here. I'm clicked on the minor chord right now, and the root note is C. You can check it here. There is a section which shows what is the root key that is showing C, and the notes are C4, D sharp 4 and G4. You can play it from here. When you play it, you'll be able to hear this chord. Then you can switch back to another chord. I'm switching to C major, and when I play, you'll be able to hear the chord notes. So the keys for this is shown, C, E and G, and the respective note frequencies are also shown in the table. You can understand what is a chord, what are the keys and the frequencies of it from here. And all the notes that are involved are marked in red color, so you only need to press those keys. Now I switch to suspended 2 chord, and you can minimize or zoom in, zoom out the mini keyboard layout, which shows the chord patterns with the red highlighted key pattern. You can select any one of this chord pattern that you would like to understand or learn. You can set the size based on the number of notes involved in the key. I am playing C minor delta 13 sharp 11th chord right now, and you can see all the notes that are required to play this chord and the frequencies. The notes that must be played are shown in red color on the mini keyboard layout. You just need to press those keys to get the chord. There is a raw pattern or the chord formula that is shown below. You can see 1, 3 flat, 5, 7, 9, 11 sharp and 13 shown. You can apply this formula on any of the notes that you want. In this case, the formula is applied on C as the root note. So C is at root, so it's showing 1. Then 3 flat is D sharp. Then 5 you can see is note G. 7 is note B. 9 is D. Then sharp 11 is F sharp. Then 13 is note A. You can see all the patterns in this one are the chord formulas that you can apply for any of the keys from C to B. And you should follow the blue colored rectangles on the pattern slider. So those are the ones which are applicable for the chords. Also, this pattern slider is slidable. You can slide it across to any of the notes and understand how the chord for that pattern looks like. You can see there are a lot of blue rectangles that are mapped against a few keys. Those are the keys that are applicable for this particular chord which you are interested in. And the root note happens to be D sharp for this. The red colored notes are required for this chord. You can play it immediately and check. The chord is going to sound just I have shown right now. The pattern slider and the mini keyboard and the buttons to select have all been synced together. So when you make a change in the pattern slider, it changes the mini keyboard layout as well. You can see as and when I move the pattern slider, the chords are changing as well. So when I move it against B, considering that as a root note, you can see the new mapping of the blue rectangles against the keys. Follow the red keys to play the chord. Here the root note at 1 is B, then flat 3 is D, then 5 is F sharp, 7 is A sharp, 9 is C sharp, sharp 11 is F, and 13 is G sharp. You can see the red keys and the blue rectangles are clearly mapped. You can select another key and you can see the pattern slider has moved considering F as the root note and showing the blue rectangle 1. There is a reference section. You can go to intervals and patterns tab. You see musical intervals reference for scales and chords. The degree is shown as flats as well as sharps. You can see an example from the note C, considering C as root note. The names of the intervals have been shown here. For example, root note and till the end, minor second, major second, then minor third, major third, etc. So on and so forth, till the last note you can find is, which is the 13th note. Also for reference, I have shown in the pattern slider all the 22 notes in their positions from 1, 2 flat, etc. till note 13. You can move the slider and understand what is the interval for each of these keys. Now the root note is C, and if I want to find what is the third interval, I can see E and fifth interval, etc., so on and so forth easily using this pattern. You can slide it across any of these notes. Now I am keeping D sharp as the root note, and C happens to be the third interval, D sharp happens to be the fifth interval now. Seventh interval is G, ninth interval is A sharp, 11th interval is C sharp, and you can move the slider to various positions considering each of this note as the root note and understand this pattern. Also, there is a reference for chord patterns and reference. The chords have been listed section wise like triads, then 6th chord, 7th chord, then extension chords are there. You can also see 9ths, then 11th and 13th chord shown below on the table. For each of this chord, the formula is clearly written there. For example, the major chord, you need to play 1, 3, and the fifth interval for that particular chord. Then minor, 1, flat 3, and 5 are the intervals you need to play. The formula is highlighted in bold black. Ignore the grayed out notes, you don't have to play them. You want to play diminished, similarly 1, flat 3 and flat 5 are the notes you need to play. You can understand the chord patterns by applying it using the pattern slider as well. So we have understood how this works. Now there is one more functionality, let me show. We can copy all these patterns. For example, this is C major chord which I just played, and I just added that to the scratch pad. Now I'm adding D to the scratch pad by clicking on the plus sign. Then E major, I have clicked on the plus button and added to the scratch pad. Now we'll go to the scratch pad. All the notes we added by clicking on the plus button is being shown here right now. You can see C major, D major and E major. You can zoom in, zoom out in this page as well. You will see a marking stating it's a chord. Click on wave button to understand notes and frequencies. Click on the main keyboard to understand how the chord sounds like. In this case, I have clicked on the chords keyboard layout to play the chords. You can minimize information that you don't need and keep the size very small so that you can take a screenshot and remember later. Now let's move on to the scales tab. The idea is pretty much similar here, except that we are going to play the scales. You can increase the size of the keyboard or decrease it. You can see the root key, the buttons C to B, they are pretty much the same. You can select any one of them. If you select on a button, that becomes the root key for the particular scale. So I've clicked on minor scale here now. For C minor scale, the notes and frequencies of all the notes have been shown. You can see all the 7 notes being played here. We don't play the 8th note. The raw pattern is 1, 3 flat, 4, 5, 6 flat and 7 flat for the minor scale, which you can see here. If you select a major scale, you can see the pattern has changed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. You can move the slider and the keyboard layout also changes. Now D is kept as the root note, 2 is note E, 3 is F sharp, 4 is G, 5 is A, 6 is B and 7 is C sharp. This is considering D as the root note. You can see the notes exactly being shown in red color on the mini keyboard as well. There is a one-to-one correspondence between blue rectangles and the keys that are mapped on the keyboard below and the keys which are shown on the mini keyboard, which is red in color. There are a lot of scales present. There is a set of South Indian scales called the melakartha ragas which have been added to this. You can select even one of them to hear how it sounds like or to understand what's the pattern. So in this case, I have selected Harikamboji. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and flat 7 is the pattern for that. G sharp has been selected as the root note for this. Let's add this to the scratch pad. Now I'm selecting A sharp as root note. Selected scale is Ganamurti. You can see the pattern 1, 2 flat, 3 flat, then 4, 5 flat, 6 and 7 are the keys for this. We will play this now. I'm going to add this to the scratch pad as well. So we'll head back to the scratch pad. We can see the two new scales, Harikamboji and Ganamati has been added, and the marking there is shown as scales, unlike the previous case chords. You can see the notes and frequency table for this. Click on the keyboard to hear the scale. We just heard the scale. We'll click on the next scale and listen. Now we have heard both of the scales just by clicking on the keyboard layout. You can have a mix of chords and scales. You can arrange it to your preference, add it to the scratch pad and view them. Pitch Lemur is a free and easy to use tool. Thank you.